Everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
So I hope all are awake. Let me see how many are awake now. Can you raise your hand if you are online correctly? That's correct. Oh, only 55 raised the hand. Okay, 56. Ati kastameda. Only 56, 57, 58. I want to test it. How many are really just switching on your accounts and keeping it aside or listening to the lesson? Okay, I got 66 only. So I think around there are 97 people and I got 67, so another 30 are missing.
Read the question. Actually, I was not connected to audio.
Sarit, are you talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Okay, fine. No problem. Let me start it. So it's just to make you awake sometimes, right? Okay. So today we will go to another discussion also. Before that, I want to just continue with the functions itself, how you write down the methods and the functions. That's what we are discussing. Can anybody remind me at what level we have stopped yesterday? What we have done in the last minute?
So at the last, you asked us to make a function to print 1 to n all numbers, the sum of all numbers.
Yeah.
Sum of all numbers. Okay. So yesterday, what are the things that we have discussed? So we have discussed about, have we discussed about which will compile first and which will execute?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So because yesterday I have even discussed the same topic with the other section also. So I have two hours for the other section. So I have covered a lot when compared to your section because it's only one period. So I want it to know that at what time I have just skipped out for this session, and I want what are the remaining topics that are left. I'm just reminding myself. Okay, so we have discussed about which line is compiled first, which is executed first, and we have also written a sample program to see it. Right, I got it. Now, I want to show you one thing. This is the one we need to discuss about, which I have discussed with the other section also. So, you see here, the functions mainly are categorized into four types.
You are not sharing screens.
Yes.
You're not sharing the screen.
I will. Thank you for reminding me. Yesterday there was a little comedy that my project team was asking me to explain what is the next step we need to do. I was seriously explaining the topic on board and they are also listening. I am thinking that everything is shared. After a lot of time, I was asking them, can you tell me what is this red line indicating? They're just looking vague. Then I asked them why so. Then they replied that sir, nothing is shared. So it's around 20 minutes of discussion, and after that they realized that I am telling it something on the board. That's fine that you have recognized early. Okay, so this is the types of functions that we have. So there are 4 types of categories of functions. Very simple. Function with parameters and a return value. Function with parameters and does not return a value. The third type is function without parameters and return a value. The fourth type is function without parameters and does not return a value. Simple thing. Okay. So let me consider a few things. I will write the programs now for you, and you need to categorize them, which function type they belong to. Okay. As we have discussed yesterday. So I think let me explain you that I have written a program for sum of n numbers. So you might understand that why I have written these 3 in for loop. Again, revision of why I have written this for loop. What is the first thing indicating? What is this one indicates?
Initializing value.
Initialization.
Starting value or initialization. So it is equal to I is equal to 1. What does this indicate?
Ending
Comparison.
value.
Comparison. So you are comparing whether I is less than less than n plus 1. What does this indicate?
Increment by 1.
Incrementation.
Increment by 1. So this is what you are doing. This is the parallel to C++ RC. So range is also considered as a data type, which is a function through which you are passing 3 parameters, and based on that it will definitely understand it. You can create your own function in range, and you can write a C program also to build a range function easily. Because the parameters that you pass in this function are 3, so you can just replace these 3 here, and you can write a very simple C program that runs like, the Python range function. Now, considering this one, what I have done is I have taken a number n as an input, and now I am calling the function and assigning it. So what type of function it is, can you tell me? Based on the categories I have shown you earlier.
Type 1.
Type 1. The reason is the type 1 indicates function with parameters and return a value. Of course, you need to understand anything that is between 2 parentheses that is followed by a name. So there is a name here, okay, and we have a parenthesis open, and in between we have a variable written and a parenthesis closed. Here also you can see after the parenthesis you can find out 3. So I call this function. Yes, any doubt? Anybody is calling me? Okay. So I will call this function with 3 parameters. The range is called with 3 parameters, but here the sum of n is called with 1 parameter. Understand the parameters are this. Because for the first time when you are learning code and you haven't encountered it still. So you will think that after some time you will say that what is parameters? Are is talking about parameters, arguments. So I will tell the difference between the parameters and arguments also later in the sessions. And I remember that still I need to tell you about the infinite for loop, definitely, but I am in a hurry to complete at least what is required for the unit exam. So then we can have a good discussions. So I will explain these 2 concepts, and also I will explain something that is very really necessary for data types if it is not possible now. Okay. So sum of n is having a parameter now in this. So I have only one parameter. Because I am having one parameter received, right? And I'm also returning a value. This is of type 1. So always understand that if I am just removing this, and only I am saying sum of n, actually, what type you consider this as? Do you expect a written value when you say that directly in the 9th statement, sum of n ante, akkada written value evanna meer expect chestunara?
Sir, we are not calling the function only, sir.
We are calling a function, but we are not expecting a return.
So in fact, we are expecting a return value, but there is no variable where we can store that value.
No. See, here we say we are just calling a value. Okay, sorry, calling a function. This is calling a function sum of n. You cannot say I am expecting a return value. See, when you expect a return value, you have an assignment operator that should be given. So Saurit, I hope you understand. You cannot
Yes, I
say
got it.
I'm expecting a return value, but you should say that I am calling a function. If there is a return value, I will get it, of course. In place of that, the return value will be replaced, right? So the sums
Yes.
value will be replaced here, and that will be assigned to answer. If answer is equal to is not there, even the return value comes, nothing will happen. So one thing we can do like this, instead of this, I can just, first I will run this program so that you will understand. Okay. So I'm compiling this. Now, what are the lines that compiles first? Can you tell me? Can anybody tell me according to what?
N is equals to input.
So enter a number.
Step 8.
Mm-hmm.
Line number 8.
I want line number. Which line number will be compiled first?
8.
8, sir.
8.
8, right? Then what happened here? Sum of n, and it was created as an object, right? The function has been created as an object. So something is happening in the memory. Something is happening in the memory. Then what should be happening now? Now, do you agree that 8 is a line first compiled, or 1 is a line first? 1 is a line that first compiled.
Once
1 is compiled but not executed.
1 is compiled.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So if I ask you which lines are compiled, of course it starts from first, and every line is compiled, whatever required thing that will be done. And if I ask you which line starts to execute first, then your answer?
8.
Line number 8.
8 will execute, because 8 is a line compiled and executed immediately, but 1 to 5 are just compiled. Even these lines are not compiled. These lines are executable lines. You remember, this is not an executable line. Definition sum of n is not an executable line, but instead it is considered as a label or a name of certain activities that are being done, right? Remember, in our ancient philosophy, we have a word called karma. Karma in the sense task. Karmara Babu antam, general ga. Karma in the sense it's not punishment. It's the task that we are doing. So whatever each person is having a karma, in the sense each person has some work on this earth. That's what believed in ancient Indian philosophy. So that's what each man's karma, and each man is named somewhere. So Kranti has some karma. My karma is to teach people. That's what I am doing now. Maybe you, after some time, you might recognize what is your karma based on your interest. So some other's karma is to lead this nation. Maybe Modi is leading the nation. So his karma is that, and so on. So it is like, the leaders and the teachers, the students, the parents, everybody has their own work. Remember, a function is certain task which is performed by few set of instructions, and it can be also termed as a block of code. Again, I am redefining the function. You can write it down as a running notes every time when something comes from my mouth. You need to understand that a function is a block of code containing certain number of instructions to perform a specified task. Again, I am repeating, a function is a block of code containing certain instructions to perform a specified task. So this task is named after definition. So what happens is, now this will be registered in the memory. So this will be registered in the memory. So you have defined it in global frames and it is registered in objects. So remember, for now, every component of the Python code is considered as an object. I will tell you why, and later on. Now only remember what I told you. Okay, every explanation will be further explained later in the classes. So the first line will be compiled but not executed. Whenever it says definition, this line is not for execution. Remember, this is only for compilation. When the instructions in that particular definition will be executed is when this label is called. When this label is called. For example, I am teaching from 2011. That means I was called to teach from 2011. So all my instructions are getting executed. Until then, I am just compiled. So my destiny is to become a teacher. So it is just compiled. After becoming a teacher, I am starting executing the task, the karma which I need to execute. So this is where your executions start, your task execution start. So remember, 2, 3, 4, 5 are not even compiled here. That is the reason no memory for sum is also allocated. Only a memory for this sum of n is allocated. I hope you are understanding. So remember that the line number 1 is just compiled. The instructions inside it are not compiled and even not executed. And immediately it comes to line number 8, the red arrow you can follow. Now this is a line which is an instruction. So it is first compiled and executed. So I hope you are remembering it. So remember, each individual instruction is eligible for compilation and it is also eligible for execution. That you need to remember that. So line number 8 is an individual instruction. So it is first compiled and then executed. How it takes place. The compiler checks for syntax errors. If nothing is there, then it converts into bytecode. Then it converts into bytecode. After this bytecode is generated, the bytecode is now executed by the Python virtual machine by creating the memory, taking the input, whatnot, whatever it has to do, it will perform on that instruction. Now let me enter the value, maybe 5, sorry. Okay, and submit it. Now the next thing that follows is line number 9 is being compiled and executed. So where we are calling sum of n. Now you see, yes. Now in sum of n, the first memory that was created, n is equal to 5. The reason is we are passing 5 here in this line. You can observe the sum of n, which we are passing n in this line. Instead of n, I am passing 5, right? So this 5 is being copied into the memory of sum of n object or the function. You see here, this n belongs to global frame and this n belongs to sum of n. So this n is different from this n as we have discussed earlier. Have we discussed this? I think we have discussed, right? This one also. There are two different like x, y, a, b difference separate unnanu kada monna?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this n is different from this n. This is belonging to global frame and this is belonging to this particular definition. So now the execution starts from line number 2, compilation and execution starts. You see, sum is equal to 0. Now sum will be provided a memory. You can observe it on the right side. Yes, sum is initialized with 0, whatever I underline now. Next, this loop is compiled and executed. Right, you can observe that how I value is being changed. I is initialized to 1, I is compared with n plus 1, sum of n number, sum is equal to sum plus 1 will be done. You see, so sum's value has been changed and next I value will be incremented, compared, and if it is true it goes in and then sum value is increased. Sum is equal to sum plus I, and you observe the output. It is being repeated for 5 times, the for loop, and the final answer for the sum is there, and we are exiting the for loop because it already satisfied 5 times of repetition, as I have yesterday explained. So now coming to this return sum. So finally we are returning the sum to this. You see, the next line that gets executed is line number 10. because already the assignment of answer will be done, and in the line number 10 we are now compiling and executing it. After execution you can see something is present on the screen, 15. Right, I hope you understand. I will also tell you why I have written this one like this by explaining you what is the advantage. Before that, I want to just show you. I will put it in comment. I will ask you one thing. Can I also write something like this? Sum of n of n. Can I write like this? Will it execute?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
As Saurith has already said, we are calling a function and Saurith is telling that we are expecting a return value, but the computer doesn't understand that you are expecting a return value. If you have a return keyword there, whatever that value to be returned will be returned to this. It is your task to use this in a particular statement. So for example, in these statements, we have used the return value. In these statement also, we are using the return value, how you see. Now, I am not giving anything to the answer. I'm just directly printing it. You see, just directly printing it after getting the sum. You see, the return value is there. Otherwise, it will put none. Okay. And then it goes directly to line number 12. The line number 12 is print sum of n numbers. So it has been executed, you see, 15. So there is no answer is equal to sum of n in the call chain Australia. Directly also you can use it. So it's all depends on what you want to do exactly in the code. If you want to use this answer somewhere else, then definitely you need this assignment. Otherwise, if you just want to print the return value, you can directly print it. Why to assign it to answer and print it? This is all your dependency. This is all your dependency. Nobody is forcing you to use these statements only or these statement only. Now let me edit something. If I remove print, what does this mean? Will the return value come to it or not?
It will come, but it will not print on the screen.
It will come, but we are not using anything inside it. So naturally, what we term it as that it is actually a calling of function with parameter, but we expect this type of statement only when there is no return value. అంటే రిటర్న్ వాల్యూ లేకపోతేనే ఇలాంటి స్టేట్మెంట్ మనం రాస్తాం. Let me see. Let me check out like this. What is the type 2 that we have? Function with parameters and does not return a value. This belongs to type 2 type of statement. So I expect that I am not giving any return value. Instead, I print the sum there itself. No, nothing is returned back. Nothing is returned back. Instead, it is just printed there itself. So it's fine. The statement is fine now. It is legal in type 2 function. Function belonging to the type 2, it is legal. But belonging to type 1, it is illegal to use this statement. Because in type 1, either you need to have an assignment operator or you need to directly print the called value. If you are not using any of these and using this type of statement, then it is only legal in function type 2, where we define it as a function with parameter and without any return value. Let me check out this one. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I will click on it and I'm entering 5 as we have discussed. Okay, next. See, it is just going on and it will clearly say that there is no return value. You can observe at the last. So it says that return value is none, but instead the sum is printed directly. This comes to type 2 functionality. Okay. Now, the other thing, let me say.
Sir, then what's the use of defining the function, sir? We can directly write it.
Yes, one thing I already said to you something like this. If there is defining a function, for example, I am asking you to evaluate this equation. So x power 2 divided by x factorial. This is what you do it, right? For power, I think many of you know this symbol for some time. So x, yeah, x, 2 factorial, let me say 2 factorial plus, I think we have done this program, right? Earlier when I said why functions are needed. By, you can say 3 factorial. If this is the equation I have given up to n factorial, how many code you will write for each statement to be executed without functionality? So you say x power n by n factorial. If this is the case, then you need to write for each one. So for x square, you need to write the for loop for x square. Next, again, you need to write for loop for x cube. Again, you need to write for loop for n number of times to be executed. For factorial also, you need for loop, of course. So how many for loops are there for this simple equation? And every time I change the equation, will you change it? Right? So instead of that, make it easy. You write the function for one time. If you have return value, yes, you want to have return value. Sometimes if you don't want return value also, you can directly call the function and everything will be executed there. For example, you just want to produce what is x power 2 and you don't want any return value, then you directly write the type2 function where you call it and with a parameter x comma 2 and it will execute there. But if this type of equation is there, you definitely want it. So what you will write a function power of x comma 2, right, by factorial of 2, right? Of course, the 2 will be changed using the for loop and so and so. And you can just add them every time simply power of x comma 3 and divided by fact of 3. This is how you can write up to n number of times the for loop will be repeated, and every time sum is equal to sum plus this equation you can write. So here you find out the advantage that if you write the power function one time and fact function one time, ఒక్కొక్కసారి రాసినప్పుడు, the return value will be replaced with this one, and this will be divided, and the answer will come, which will be added to the next one. So this is the advantage of functions, where you do not need to write a repetitive code again and again. If you want to write a 4 line of code 100 times, instead of that, you write a function and 100 times you call that function, those lines will be executed. So there will be no burden on you to write the lines of code again and again. I hope you understand the advantage of functions.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, at what point of time is line number 2 being compiled?
Line number 2. Yeah. Yes,
Being compiled.
actually, you need to understand that line number 2 compiles when its label is called. What is that label? Sum of n. Until then, the line number 2 will not get compiled. You see, this line only gets compiled. So that is the reason it registers that there is a label called sum of n. Until it registers, it cannot see. For example, I will make you look one thing. You see, I will cut this one. Okay, I will cut this both, control. Yes, now I will do it. Let me check out. So what is your expectation? Okay, I will give 5.
Line number 1.
Yes. So what is the first line to be compiled in this code?
Line number 1.
Line number 1 will be compiled. What is the first line to be executed in this code?
Line number 1 only.
Line number 1 only. So now you are executing. You see what will happen next. Okay, so next, what it has given? The name sum of n is not defined. What does this mean now? Why it is saying not defined? It is defined below it, right?
Because the function is not compiled.
Ah. Imagine a simple story. Actually, you are going through a railway station platform and you have registered a phase. So naturally, when you are going, you will see lot of people, right? In these lot of people, some X person is there, whom you have already seen, and he has just passed you. He's going in an opposite direction, and while you are walking on a railway platform, he has just passed you in an opposite direction, and so you have already registered the face. You know you have seen that person. And after going further, few steps afterwards, a person came to you and shown a photo to you and said, "Have you seen this person?" What is your answer, Saurat?
Yes, I have seen
Yes,
him
you have
going.
seen. Yes, you have seen. Now, for example, that person has already passed somewhere else. So you are walking in one direction. That person is also walking in opposite direction, but never crossed you. He has come from some door and he is going behind you. So you have never seen him, right? Or that person is in the same direction in which you are going. The person is in the same direction in which you are going and you have never seen him. And suddenly a person came to you and shown his photo and asked you, "Have you seen this person?" Do you agree that you have seen that person, Saurath?
No, sir, unknown.
No. So I think you understood the example, right?
Yes, sir. So it
What?
means that unlike C++ and C, we cannot define the function after the main block.
Yes, that's correct. In C, what we have is that declaration. Even definition cannot be behind. If you declare, then definition can be done. Now there is no declaration in Python. That's the problem in Python actually. In C, if you declare the function on top, so the function is already registered and seen by somebody. So if you give it down, the definition, if it is down, that's okay. But here in Python, there are no declarations, only definitions. Okay, so in this case, everything should be seen. Now, everybody needs to understand what Saurit has asked. In this case, Saurit has said it was already defined why it is not recognizing. The example I told, I think many of you have understood. Now you see the person like this. Okay, you are the person, the red color. Let me go previous statement. Okay, now you are walking in from 1 to 9 number of lines. You are walking in this direction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you are doing something. And suddenly a person came to you with the function name sum of n. Have you seen this function? And you haven't seen it. You don't know whether it is defined or not, that person exists or not. So you naturally say it's an error. That's why I said name sum of n is not defined. So for that, what you need to do is you need to always define a function before you call it. That's very important. Before you call a function, you need to define it. The controller has to first register the function. So in it register in the sense, first it will look into this and see that there is a keyword called definition, and hence it compiles it and registers that function is there. There is a task sum of n which is stored, and immediately it goes to line number 9 in this case. Execute each line. When it is encountering this line sum of n, already it has registered this function. Ee function register chestundi kabatti now it is known to it. Okay, this is known to it. So now it will understand, aha, already I have seen somewhere this function is defined, so I know it. Now it will search where this function is. Yes, it found here and starts executing it. I'm coming to your doubt, Saurabh, slowly.
Yes, sir.
So now let us see again. So how it is compiled actually. So first it registers, you see, this registration is compulsory. If you do not register a function, if you are directly calling it without registering, the compiler doesn't understand what you are calling. If it sees already, it is registering in its memory. Okay, the same example. If you see a person, you will just register that person's face. And if somebody comes and asks you whether you have seen this person, you will say, yes, I have seen. Just he passed me this way. Like that you can say. The same thing happens with the controller also. The next thing is I'm giving the input as 5. Submit it. And you see, now you are calling it, so it recognizes and comes to this. Okay. Now, Saurit, your answer starts here. when a function is called, then only the number of instructional lines that are there in that function will be executed, compiled and executed. I hope you are understanding, Saurabh.
Yes,
Have
sir.
you understood? Okay, so before only the name is registered, only this line number 1 is compiled and registered, and these are not at all looked after. That's why the green color line directly comes from 1 to 9th line. Each individual statement is now compiled and executed, and coming to the function, now these are all the individual statements that you need to remember. This is an individual statement, this, and this. All these are individual statements. These are only compiled and executed when their label is called. When their label sum of n is called, then only the lines under that functional label gets compiled and executed. That you need to understand. Okay, is it clear, all of you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right, so coming back to this code. Okay, so this is type 2, and the other type I can say something like, I will ask you which type is this, because you have already seen, I have shown you something else. What is this type?
Third type without parameter, and four types.
Fourth type.
The fourth type indicates that function without parameters and does not return a value. So this is not having any parameters. You can see here only the blank parentheses are there, and it is not even returning a value. Okay, now I'll write something. Print sum of n and return sum. Now what type it is?
Third type.
Third type.
The reason is you are trying to print. If I have used print while calling or equal to while calling, I have clearly said that I am expecting a return value in this case. So without parameter, I am expecting a return value. In this sense, it is satisfying the third type. You can see functions without parameters and having a return value. This is type 3. So I think now you understand all the types in this. Okay, so you have the function type 1 as function with parameter and with a return value. Type 2 is function with parameter and without a return value. Type 3 is function without parameter and with a return value. Now just I have shown you. And the fourth type is function without parameter and without return value. These are the four types of functions that you have. It's common to C, C++, Java and Python everywhere. Okay. Right. Coming to this, I thought of telling you why I have written this statement, right? Okay. Now copy. Okay. So this is the statement which I have been talking about. I hope you are able to see this. Right. So why I have written like this? Why I have written like this? Instead of this, if you try to write, okay, without for loop, if for loop is there, the best thing is it always becomes universal. That's what I always used to say. If you give 5, it will repeat 5 times. If you give 100, it will repeat for 100 times. But manually, if you need to do the same thing, you see, you need to write it like this. Sum is equal to 0. That's what you return first. Then you will say I is equal to 0. Then you have to say sum is equal to sum plus I. Then you again say I is equal to I plus 1. Again you need to say sum is equal to sum plus I. And then you write I is equal to I plus 1. Then sum is equal to sum plus I is equal to I plus 1. Sum is equal to sum plus I. I is equal to I plus 1. ఇలా మీరు ఎంతసేపు అని రాస్తారు మీరు? If you give 5 times, I think you need to repeat the statements, these things. See how many times I am repeating still now? It is only 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times. And again, I need to include another 2 statements. If it is 100, see how many statements I need to write. That is the advantage you need to understand with the for loop. Just with 2 statements, I have finished everything. Because here I am doing the increment, here I am doing the statements. So nothing but this is the statement here. I can show it in red. So this statement I have just written here, and this statement I have written here. That's all, finished. So because it is equivalent to this. So you always try to inculcate the habit of using the loops every time instead of writing the manual code one by one. Okay, right. So yesterday I have given a small, what we say, a puzzle like this. You see, have we done this one? Can anybody remind me? Have we done this one? 1, 2, 3. 1,
Yes.
2.
Yes, sir.
Pattern, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So using functions now, what you will do is you need to now identify this one. The new one, I will write it in this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. The reverse of this. The next thing that you need to do before coming to tomorrow's lab is this one. And the next thing I will ask you to do the pattern like this. This is one pattern I want to justify. Star, star, star. So you need to say that it is looking like X, right? So I have something else. Again, the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Let me draw this thing. Star, 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 star. Star, 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 star. So this is what you need to execute. If, for example, through a function I gave something like 3, it is indicating there are 3 rows, 3 columns. And if I send 4 as a number, it indicates that there are 4 rows, 4 columns. Okay, so based on the number, I need to get this as an output. So your output will look on the screen like this. Okay. Checks akkarledu. Now this ఏంటంటే it's only for you to understand I have given, but it should look like this on your particular screen. And this also it should look like this. All star.
Sir, with function or without function, sir?
With functions. So both practice with functions. Functions is nothing but you are just writing the code in function, that's all. How do you write it? So simply I will say something like this, you see. So I will say print X using star. Okay, and you say I'm sending 3 as a number, and you write a code for this. You just define so that you will inculcate the idea of using the functions. So print X using star, and you receive it in n number of rows and columns kada. So I will put RC. Both rows and columns are the same thing. Now you write your code here. I'm writing pass because I'm not writing the code here. So simply I put pass. Pass in the sense I'm just leaving it empty. So do not, for leaving it empty in Python, you cannot leave it as a blank line. I already told you in for loop and if conditions. You should at least give pass. Pass is a keyword that indicates that nothing is there in the line. So now I'm putting the comment, write your own code. Okay, write your own code. Simple, that's all. Write your function. You are just calling it function with parameter and without a return value. So it should be type 3 function, not type 3. It should be type 2 function. Okay, so you write all the code here itself in the function itself. You are just calling the function, that's all, right? Are they simple functions? And instead of writing the code directly in the global frame, I'm asking you to write the code in the function and call the function in the global frame, that's all. So that's where you need to write. So you need to write both these statements. You try out today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1. Have we discussed the solution for this?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I tried the second one, which is down there in yellow, but I got it like 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 3, 2, 1, and 2, 1, and 1.
So you are printing it reverse. Maybe
Yes,
your
sir.
initialization is wrong.
I have to try that.
And next you need to also try this star, all of you. It's very easy. If you are in row 1, you see, you just, I will put it in another thing. You just observe it like this. 1, 2, 3, like this you see. 1, 2, 3. If you consider this one like this, for 3, you see the star is at 1 and 3. So when you are row 1, you print the star at 1 plus how many times so that the star will go 3. Remember, one thing I want to explain you, in general C programming, we generally explain it. I want to say the screen is generally divided like this. So are you able to see this graph actually?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you imagine that if this entire thing is your screen, the screen always looks like this. So these are checks. Each check is holding a character. For example, you are writing a string. So how it holds, you see K R A N T H I. This looks like this actually. So if you are writing a number, so it will say 567. See, each check is holding a number. In the same way, your stars are also printed like this. But you cannot see there are checks in the line. But actually, each check is again divided into few more small lines so that they will be filled. Filled in the sense they will look like this. You see, I might draw a small thing. These are called pixels actually. So you see carefully how it might be. So again, these are divided into small checks. So each check holds something called a pixel. I want to write something like K. Okay. So for writing K, what I will do, how many letters? Okay, I will just, sorry, I'm unable to see where I am. So I will fill all these pixels and this one also, these 2 pixels and this 2 pixels. And I will just zoom out. Let me see that if you actually, both are of same color. If I have done it with some other color, you can see it looks like K, right? So each check is again divided into small units where each unit is colored with a color and that looks like a character actually. So if you take another color, red is fine for me so that it will just look into it. I'll just color all the pixels here with red. Okay. And yes. So if I color all the pixels with red and K appears in those pixels and remaining pixels will be left blank, you see. And this is considered as one check for one character. And for R, A, N, T, H, I, this is how it goes on. So now you need to understand that how many checks gap you are giving after star. So if you consider this check as 1, this is 2, this is 3, third check. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So you need to understand how much of gap I am giving. So in between, I think you are encountering a space, right? Space is not visible, so it will remain blank. You are printing a star, a space, and star. Here also you are printing a space, star, and space. You are printing a star, space, and a star. You need to understand that question like that. How you solve it? Print star, space, star. Print space, star, space. Print star, space, star. And you need to understand how many spaces I want. For example, if it is 4, how many I am doing? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is like so, so I'm giving space, and going to star. Next space, star, space. Next star, space. Next again star, space, star. See how it is printing? So you write everything on paper or take a Google Jamboard like this and experiment on this actually. There is no need for you to waste the papers and the pen ink. You can just write it, experiment it. Even if you don't have any stencil or so, you can just click on it. You can see there is some symbol that comes on this. So using this, you
It's
can.
3 o'clock.
Okay, so experiment this one. So you have learned something new today, that the screen is entirely divided into checks, and each character is in one check, including the space. And each check will have small tiny units called pixels, which are colored, where each pixel is colored, where it looks like a character. Okay, so based on that, you just try to finish up the code. మీరు pixels వరకు వెళ్ళక్కర్లా. నా ఉద్దేశం ఏంటంటే, you need to understand that each character has a check, and based on this you design your code in such a way that how many spaces are needed, at what position the stars will be printed. Okay, don't think too much. It's very simple. With one for loop and with if condition, I can finish it. Have you understood? Yes or no? At least the explanation.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Right. So I have given something to you. Right. So whatever pattern I give, you need to just understand them like this. Even this one also, you need to understand like this. See, if you go with this, you can understand it like this. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. You can write any number of 4, 5, and so on. You just observe if it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how it actually does. So each number in one check. So this is where you understand, and somewhere else you need to also write down this one. నేను ఇది కూడా అడుగుతాను తర్వాత. You might also print this one, right? You see how it will be printed. See, this also should be printed, the pyramid. And there is a triangle. What is the triangle called? Pascal triangle?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pascal triangle. I think 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, like this. It will be printed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this
Yes,
also
sir.
should be printed. First, you understand this one and the star patterns, how it will be printed. Then we will go to an easy one. Then we will go to the Pascal triangle. Okay, so this is what I want to say. What is the time now? Yes, fine. I will now go to data types. So this is what all about functions. So I'm just reminding you one more time that there are 4 types of functions which we have already discussed. And when a function is seen by the controller, it will not get executed first, but it will be just registered. And whenever a function is called, then only the inside lines or the instructions of a function will be compiled and executed. Okay. And you need to understand that if a function is empty, then you need to put a word called pass, which is a keyword for emptiness. So you're just saying pass, I don't have any lines to execute. మనం చూసారు క్విజ్ లో అంటూ ఉంటాం, what is the capital of India అంటే you immediately say pass because you don't know the capital of India. Example, I'm not saying you don't know the capital of India, just for example. బికాస్ దే ప్రబుద్ధులు ఉన్నారు ఇంకా మనకి. హూ ఇస్ ద ప్రెసిడెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా అంటే అబ్దుల్ కలాంలోనే ఉండిపోయిన మహానుభావులు కూడా ఉన్నారు. ఎప్పుడో చిన్నప్పుడు స్కూల్లో చెప్పారు కాబట్టి. సో ఫర్ దోస్ పీపుల్ ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ టెల్లింగ్ దట్. ఓకే, సో you can just try out different programs using this by calling. Remember that you need to give at least an indentation for all the lines which are the front lines of the code, and all the nested ones should be given another tab. You see how I am giving it. So you see that there are 2 tabs here. Okay. The best part is that you can make it like this in VS Code. If you click that arrow, it will just show what are the lines of code that are there. You can just hide everything and you just put it. You see, the entire function is hidden. I can just open it. So that's not the case, but I hope that you understand the print statements and also the functions, how you define it. Don't forget to use the define, and don't forget to use colon. If these 2 are there, then only it is called a function. 2 legs, 2 hands, 2 eyes, and a tongue which can talk will generally characterize a human. Okay, because human is the only person, only living being who can walk on two legs. Not every animal can walk on two legs actually. So these are some of the characteristics that distinguish between those things. So there is a difference between for and definition of a function using the definition and column. So for loop and while loop and conditions also you will have columns, but still they are not the functions. The reason is a keyword called for while will distinguish them. So these are all the revisions I have done for functions. You can look into various sources of anything that you want to learn further about functions. Let me go to data types. Right. Okay, let me, instead of data types, let me go to this one first, and then we will come to data types, because tomorrow also we can discuss something. So I want to go to the types of operators that are there. What are the types of operators that are there? So we have these many types of operators that are characterized. The first one is arithmetic. Second is assignment. The third is comparison. The fourth is logical. The fifth is membership. Sixth is identity. And seventh is bitwise. So we only learn what are really important. Let me see the first one, arithmetic. It's blue color, so I'm writing, right? The first arithmetic. So you have these arithmetic operators plus, minus, slash, asterisk, percentage. These are the things that you know, right? And there are two new symbols that have been included, that is double slash and asterisk. Okay, so these are the two new symbols that have been introduced in Python. Let me check out what these symbols will do using a live execution. Okay, now let's experiment it. So I think you already know that a plus operator can be executed with two numbers. It can be executed with a float and also an integer, right? Now, can you tell me, can it be executed with this
No,
particular
sir.
one? It says that the plus is an operator that can only add two strings or two float or string and an integer, but it cannot what we say, operate on a integer and a string. If is it possible in this way? Is it possible this way?
The typecasting is required.
So
No, sir.
without typecasting, 6 is a string still. But if, for example, if I write like this, I'm converting it into integer. If this is the case, then this happens. The reason is the string 6 is now converted into an integer 6. So 6 plus 6, 12 is done. Now, can I say this one? Is it possible legal?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The reason is plus is overloaded with a new functionality called concatenation, and this is possible. Okay, two strings can also be added, two integers can be added, to float can be added. Float in the sense 6.562 something I write, and then I say 5. This number I have written. So to float can be added, to integers can be added, to strings can be added. Okay, this will give you the string 66. Okay, so and you cannot add two different types which might become mad for the compiler. Okay, one is integer and string type, or float and string type, but you can, if you have typecasted, that's fine. And the same way you can use minus, you can use slash. And let me observe something. 5 by 2. What should be the answer that will come? 5 by 2, what will be the answer that comes here?
2.5.
It's correct. Actually, it directly gives you 2.5. In C, it's a different story, but here we can get directly the answer 2.5. In C, until unless you do something else, you cannot give 2.5, it will give you the answer 2.0. So here it will give you 2.5. And can you tell me what could be the answer for this? I used double slash. Clearly observe there. I used double slash. It's not single slash actually.
Remainder?
No. Remainder anyway, we have got one symbol.
Sir, 2.
The floor.
Oh, slowly.
The answer that we got?
2, sir.
2. So you need to remember that slash is for integer division. Integer division only. So for example, I will write something else. You see, I will write something like 5.5 divided by 2. What answer will you expect here?
2 only, sir.
2.
2.0. Why 2.0? Why not only 2?
Because we take float values.
Okay, let me see that if you are using double slash, you should always consider the thing that is after the decimal point is never considered. Okay, it will always be taken as 5.0. See how it will read is only 5.0 slash 2. It will read like this. So the answer will be same, right? It will never give importance to the other thing that is there. It will just bypass this one. So anyway, it is equivalent to 5.0. Whatever number you give, for example, I give 6432 and I just divide it by 2, it will only give 2.0. The reason is it will only look like this. And it will never throw away the decimal point 0. If the numerator is having a decimal point, it will carry the decimal point. It will carry the decimal point, but still it will not give the numbers that are outside the decimal point. See, this right side of the decimal point are not at all figured out. So this is the reason why this symbol is called an integer division. It will not at all bother about what is the right side of the decimal point. What can be it be, but it will only give you something like 0.0. So any number you take, 6543, and you give something, let me give an odd number, 2, it will just put away the decimal point aside. If the numerator is not having any decimal point, it will just directly give it as an integer number. If the numerator, the same way, 6545.6325, it will give the same answer, you see, but it will give .0. You remember this, okay? Understood or any doubt in this?
Sir, is the case same for the denominator also? Like
Yes,
if there is a decimal point.
5.6 by 2.5. See what happened? It is simply as equivalent to 5.0 divided by 2.0. The same answer. Are you getting it? Saurit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, after this, you already know what is the mod symbol, percentage symbol. You can see it will only give you the reminders. This anyway, we know that the mod symbol is there. The other one is, let me tell you, what could be that star by this answer, by this result?
Power, sir.
Power.
Our
So it indicates that it is power. So in C programming, we have only the function called POW in math library, in which you need to give 2, 3. But in Python, even in Java, we have to use a power function anyway. If you call the function only, it will be done. But for 2 power 3 in Python, they have overloaded the stars into the power symbol. So you need to use 2 stars. You need to remember that 2 star 3 is 6. It's a multiplication. But if you write 2 star 3, it gives you a power of that particular one. So what are the symbols that you have seen until now? This is addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. It comes like null. Okay, multiplication and remainder, integer division, and this is power. Okay, so remember these 2 new things that you encounter here in Python if you have ever learned any programming language. But if this is the first time you are writing, so these are the arithmetic operators that you have: plus, minus, slash. Remember this slash. People sometimes use a backslash also. So use this slash, asterisk, the mod symbol, that is the percentage symbol for the remainder, double lines, double slash for integer division, star for power. Okay. Now going back to our thing, what is the next one that we have? Assignment operators. Okay, let me check out assignment operators. So assignment operators. So what is the first assignment operator that you encounter until now?
Is equal to.
Is equals to.
Yes, it is equal to, right? Everywhere you have equal to is the first thing that you say it's an assignment operator. Now we have some conditions like this. So you say I is equal to A in this case, fine. If for example, I have said I is equal to I plus 1. How many operators are there in this statement?
2.
2. What is this operator called?
Assignment operator.
Assignment operator. Okay. What is the other one that you have?
Arithmetic.
Arithmetic. Plus.
Arithmetic operator. Okay. So sorry, I have one degree written. Yeah, it should be arithmetic operator. Instead of this, the assignment operator itself gives us a new thing called I plus equal to 1. It's very simple. Very simple. I plus equal to 1 is nothing but I is equal to I plus 1. You just divide it. That's all. Okay. So what we have done is we have combined them. I plus equal to 1. In the sense I is equal to I plus 1. Okay. Let me show you. For all the operators it works. I will exit and clear. Python 3. Right. Okay. Now I have something like I is equal to 1. So I have some answer I is equal to I plus 1. So what is my i's value? This time it will be 2. The same thing I will perform. I is equal to 1. I plus equal to 1. Now what is my i's value? That also 2. It carries on with all the aspects. You can say 1, I can say I minus equal to 1. What should be the answer that you will get?
0.
0. You can also say I star equal to 1. So it gives you 1 into 1, right? Because it is I is equal to I asterisk 1 and I into 1. So it will give I's value as, what is this?
But I is assigned as 0. Sir.
I is equal to 1, and then I need to write I star equal to 1. So it is same for division also. You can go for I is equal to 1 and you can say I by equal to 1. It is nothing but I is equal to I divided by 1. Okay. The both answers will be the same. Why it is giving the point dot 0? And let me check one thing. Slash slash is equal to 1. What will be the answer for
Now
this?
it will be 1, sir.
Now it will be again 1.0. Why? Of course, I need to initialize. I need to initialize and then we will check now. And then we will check. It will be 1. Fine, your answer. But I need to find out why it is giving me 1.0. We still had the same thing, right? So let me check out two things. Maybe there might be something that might have gone wrong. Yes, that's correct. So I want your answer from your side. Why it is giving I by is equal to 1 is 1.0. If I give something like I is equal to 2 and then I will say by is equal to 1, then I. It's why it is giving 2.0, 1.0, why it is giving like that? I want the answer.
It's turning into float, sir.
So this
The normal division, it's taking all float values, sir.
yeah,
While
but if I give 5 by 2, what we say 4 by 2, it also gives me 2.0, right? If I give something like 3 by 1 also gives me 3.0, then what you conclude with single slash?
single slash returns only float values, sir.
Yes, it is always returning because it is always expecting that the numerator can be should might be a float. Might be a float. If you are expecting that the numerator is never a float and you don't want to give the float as an important thing, then you always give slash slash 1. This will eliminate this dot 0. Or you can also do one thing is to typecast it. How you typecast it? You can simply say int, okay, int of I. Let me check out like this. 4 by 2. What is the answer that you got? 2.
2.
Right? The reason is we have typecasted 2.0 into integer, returned as 2. So instead of that, we have one symbol called 4 by 2. Simply it is giving you 2. Okay. So we have this opportunity of typecasting, and along with that, typecasting in the sense it's a type conversion, which you are getting 2.0 is now converted into int. So the same answer I will see 2.0. I will now convert it. You see the same thing. 4 by 2 is given as 2.0. So int of 2.0 is always 2. So regarding this, without using this function int, we have a symbol 4 by 2. That's the advantage of this. So if now, for example, that is the reason why you got this one. So I by is equal to 1 is 1.0. Now, have you understood? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everything that you know is through experimentation. So without experimentation, you cannot get it really. So if the same thing, if I use I slash is equal to 1, you will have I. What is this? What I have given?
So earlier I was assigned as 1 point.
Assigned.
Yeah. Now I need to give that same thing. So I am initializing with only 1 because earlier is 1.0. So it is carrying that 1.0 as we have discussed with double slash. So now we got that answer. So you have everything like plus equal to, minus equal to, slash equal to, asterisk equal to, asterisk equal to. What does asterisk equal to will do?
Power.
Yes.
Power rank.
Slash equal to. These are the symbols that you have for your assignment operators. Let us test with asterisk equal to also. Let us. Yes.
So then instead of writing float, we use single slash, sir.
Yes, we can use single slash instead of float.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir.
So I is equal to 2. So you will have I star equal to 2. What will happen? What will be your answer now?
4.
It will be 4 because it is nothing but I is equal to I star 2. I is 2. So 2 power 2 is 4. The same thing happens with the statement. Of course, I did not initialize I with 2 again. So previous 4 is, given power to 2 and it has given me 16. So anyway, it is equal to this one, this statement. So now we are going back. So remember, we got as equal to as an initial assignment operator. Next, plus equal to additional assignment, subtraction assignment, multiplication assignment, slash division assignment, integer division assignment, power assignment. Okay, these are the assignment operators that you got. Okay, what is the next one? This is comparison. So you have the next third item called the comparison operator. Okay. So anyway, until now you have seen few things like less than, greater than, equal to, and of course it should be first actually, equal to, less than equal to, greater than equal to,
Not equal.
not equal to. Okay. So these are some of the comparison operators that you get. Let me check out this one also in this Python 3. Okay. So for example, I said A is equal to 6 and B is equal to 7. So if I give A double equal to 7, what could be the answer that, sorry, B, what could be the answer?
Error.
False.
False.
Yes. This is called Boolean data type. Anyway, we will discuss it when we come to data types. Okay. I had a lot more to explain for data types. And naku chala pedda idea undi. So generally in Python, data types are explained very simple, but I want to explain it through C language also. In C, how the data types are considered, why this data type came into existence. Then I want to go for Python's data type. That's why I don't want to cover it today, because we have very less time to deal with. I need at least 1 hour to get. So you have false here. Okay, let me say A is less than B. It will give you true. The reason is when you are comparing something, the 6 is compared with 7. So when it is less, it will say that this is true. It will give you true. Actually, in C programming, it will either return you 0 or 1. If, for example, if I said answer is equal to A less than B, is it legal? Can I write it like this?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody else?
So can you please repeat the question?
The statement, is it legal?
Yes, sir, it will store a
Yes,
character
sir.
value.
Print
Yes.
answer.
Okay.
String.
What is the answer's value? That is
True.
So not only the conditions or loops that you use these statements like this, even you can assign a statement of comparison to some other variable. You can say less than equal to B, you can say double equal to B, you can say not equal to B. Everything can be compared. So what will be the answer for answer here?
True.
Is true. The reason is A is not equal to B because A is 6 and B is 7. So these statements will produce an answer either true or false. And based on this only it will come back. For example, if I have these statements A less than B, okay, and I put it like this, and I'm writing something like print yes, else print no. So what could be your answer? It is yes. The reason is A is 6 and B is 7. When you gave A less than B, 6 is less than 7. How does it know I need to go to S? Can anybody tell me now?
It checks the condition.
Ah, yes, it checks the condition, but upon returning upon what value it depends on to go whether into this or this statement.
On the upper value, sir, A is equal to 6 and B is equal to 7.
Yes, of course. Still technical answer I want.
If condition.
Yes, that also fine. If condition is already written.
Comparison.
Comparison also we know that they are being compared. Upon what value it knows that whether I need to go into this or this.
On A and B.
0 or 1.
0 or 1 is okay, that is in C. But
Less than.
A and B values.
yes, A less than B returns something like true, right? A Boolean value called true. If the execution sees that it has true, it goes inside this. If the execution sees that A less than B is returning false, then it will go into this statement. So when I ask you upon what value the condition gets executed, your answer should be true or false Boolean. You should say the Boolean value that comes out from this statement A less than B actually decides which statement or which instruction to be executed, which compound instructions to be executed. So your answer should be either true or false Boolean values. Did you understand now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So if somebody asks you upon what value, it actually depends whether I need to go inside this or this annappudu, your answer should be the Boolean value, either true or false, that is produced by this statement. If it is true, it enters immediately the compound statements or instructions after if. If it false, it enters into the compound statements or instructions in else. Okay. So this is how I want to explain you what it actually returns, what this statement actually returns. This statement, the comparison statements always return something like true or false. So that is why I have told you. So you can say A is equal to B is false, A not equal to B is true, A less than B is true, A greater than B is false, A less than equal to B is false. Oh, sorry, it should be true because it is matching less than. So, ఎందుకని true వచ్చింది? Can you tell me? A less than B, but it is not equal to B, right? Why it came true?
Less than
Or
or
equal
First
to B.
condition.
Yeah. One thing you need to remember is, have you heard about R table? మీకు మ్యాథమెటిక్స్ లో ఉంటుంది ఎక్కడ R table గురించి ఎప్పుడైనా అన్నారా? Have you heard about R table?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Truth table, sir.
If I have given something
Truth
like
table.
or false, what is your answer?
True.
true, sir.
Now you see, what is true here? A less than B is true, A equal to B is false, right? So this true statement I will write. You see, A less than B is true, and you write R here, or A equal to B is false. So what should be your answer now?
True.
It will give you
True.
yes, that is the reason why this statement is generating true for you. Okay. Next, I will give something like A greater than B, which will produce false. Okay, these are the statements that you have in your comparison operators. Next. Next we have logical. Okay, we have logical. Let me go to logical operator. So generally you have something like this one. Let me check out. That gives yellow, right? We have done some problem, right? We have done a problem like gradings. So if a person gets a mark between 90 and 100, you declare it as O grade. How you write this one? How you write this statement?
If n greater than or equal to 90,
So marks
where n is marks, yes.
greater than equal to 90. Tarvata?
Print to.
No. I told you clearly. Okay.
Double answer.
I will talk about something. Okay. A person getting 80 to 90. Now you tell me. It is A grade. Now you tell me.
Greater
Person.
than or equal to 80.
Okay. Marks. Tell me. Greater than or equal to 80. Tarvata?
And
Double
marks less than or equal to 100.
Yes. And marks
Less than or equal to 100.
equal to 90 actually.
90.
Oh, sorry, 97. Okay, sorry.
Equal to కూడా అక్కర్లేదు 90 నుంచి మళ్ళీ O grade అన్నా okay less than 9.
Oh.
Now you see you have something called and. Okay, so generally in C programming we use ampersand. Saurit, I think you remember it if you have done C++.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So instead of these ampersands we use and. Okay, so A and D you can directly write and you can also say if you write something like greater than or equal to 80 or marks less than 90. Okay, this can be considered as R in C programming. This is the symbol that you have for R. So first we will tackle these two things, and remaining symbols we will look into it later. Let me check out. Okay, right. Now coming to our symbols, let me say marks is equal to 85 on. Now I have given marks greater than equal to 80 and marks less than 90. What it will return?
True.
True.
What it will return?
False. End sir, that.
False.
False.
How many of you agree that it is false? False. Many of you will agree.
Yes,
Just
Yes, sir. False.
mark 85 is actually greater than or equal to 80, right? Naturally, if you compare 85, the 85 is greater than or equal to 80. That's true. Okay, this is true. Coming to this statement, marks less than 90. Of course, 85 is less than 90. This is also true.
True and
What
true. False.
true in your truth table?
True and
True
true.
is true.
False.
True and true in your truth table will give you true. Maybe somebody might be confused between XOR and some other operations. Okay, true and true will give you this one true. Okay, in this symbol. For example, I write something like this: marks greater than equal to 75 and marks less than 80. What will be your answer?
False.
False.
Because marks greater than or equal to 75 is true. Because 85 is greater than or equal to 75 is true. Marks less than 80. So 85 is not less than 80. This is false. What is true?
Sir, your voice is low, sir.
False.
What is true and false? It will give you
False.
false. Okay. So this is the reason how your if condition works. If somebody write like this, if marks greater than equal to 80 and marks less than 90, it will actually give you the answer that it is true. So if the if condition sees that this condition is true, then it will immediately execute the next line. Okay, immediately. Otherwise, it will go to the else part and execute the else lines. Right? If this condition returns false, it will directly go to the else part. If this condition returns true, it will directly go to its part to get executed. Okay, I hope you understand. So same way, if you understand something like the same statement I write with R. Now tell me. R. Just follow your truth table. That's all. You can answer it.
True, sir.
True.
True, sir.
Because marks is nothing but 85. So 85 is greater than or equal to 75 is true. Or 85 is less than 80. So it says that true or false will give you the answer true. But true and false will give you the answer false. True or false will give you the answer true. I think if you look into the truth tables, you can write it. So the simple thing that you need to understand here is, if you are going for and, 0 and 0 will give you 0. 0 and 1 will give you
1.
what? Will give you
0.
0. I think some of you might get confused because of these truth tables. That's why I'm writing it. 1 and 0. For example, there is a variable A and there is condition A, condition B, and your answer and output, the Boolean value should be this one. So in my view, 0 is false, 1 is true. Okay, I'm not writing true, false, true, false. I'm writing like this in a binary format because we are computer science. Now it will give you 0. 1 and 1 will give you
1.
1.
because it's
1.
true. Let me go to R. There is a condition A, condition B, and your Boolean value. Okay, 0 or 0 will give you
0.
0. 0 or 1 will give you
1.
1.
1. 1 or 0 will give you
1.
1.
1 or 1 will give you
1.
1.
See the difference here. Maximum will get 0 because if 1 is false in AND, it will be false. Even if 1 is false, because it is R, we will always get true value for most of the conditions except both are false. ఇంక ట్రూ అనేది లేదు కాబట్టి అక్కడ ఫాల్స్ ఇచ్చింది. అదర్వైజ్ ఇట్ వుడ్ హ్యావ్ రిటర్న్ ఇట్ ట్రూ ఆల్సో. Because there is no true there in that statement, it has given false for both of the things. So you just remember these things. We will discuss the other things later. Now coming back to our few other things, like okay, we finished up with logical. Let's come to membership. Membership can only be used in lists. Most probably you can use it. For example, I have declared something like this: students. I think we have discussed about lists, right, already?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you remember that. So I'm writing Kranti, Kiran, and
Sir, square bracket.
I'm sorry. It goes to 6 otherwise. Yeah, I'm sorry. So Kranti, Kiran, thank you for reminding me. Mandava, right? If I give it like this, if I see what are students, fine, this is my students. If I'm searching for Kranti, if I write Kranti in, okay, let me go to other statements, there will be gap. Okay. Kranti in students, what it will return to me?
0. Index number.
0 position, sir.
So then we should
It has written to me.
true.
True. So here you need to consider this in is a statement that gives you something true. For example, I will show you how importance the in will be given. I'll just mask all these things. Any other program that is left over? Okay. So here you see print. Okay, I need to declare a list, right? Students is equal to Kranti, Kiran, Mandava. This is how I have given. Now I want to print whether Kranti in. So you got something like in is given in pink color. It indicates that this is a keyword already there, and this is called an operator, which is called a membership operator. Now let us execute this program by saving it. Yeah, you got true here. Okay, so this operator is considered as a membership operator. So whenever you want to check something, if you say something like if Kranti in students, then you can say print as he is there, right? You can say else and print he is not present. So if this is the case, what happens is this will return true. Okay, this will return true. If this returns true, immediately it will enter the first statement. Okay, just it will enter into the compound statements that are belonging to this condition. If it returns false, it will enter into the else condition and execute all the statements in else. Okay. If it is true, it will enter all the statements of if condition. If it is false, it will enter all the statements of else condition. If you don't keep else, it will just come out of. Let me check out this one, this statement. Yeah. One thing you need to observe here, what is the new thing that you have seen in the entire statements now, which you could not imagine at least? ఏది కొత్తగా కనిపిస్తుంది మీకు విచిత్రంగా? Surprising, what is that?
If false.
False.
Yes.
If false. So if I give true, what will be the statement that will come to me?
Yes, he is present.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is present. You see here, yes, he is there. So one thing you need to remember is that if condition only looks into the final Boolean value. If you directly give that final Boolean value, it will accept it and execute all the statements of its condition. If you give false here instead of true, then it will skip these statements, directly go to the else and executes else instructional part. Otherwise it will come out if it is not there. If it is not there, nothing will be given. Only the next lines will be executed. So this is the next instruction. Okay. This is the next instruction. So this will be executed. You see what will happen. Yes. Okay. This is the next instruction. It is not executing as he is there. But if I am saying this is true, if this is true, then again we try to execute it as you can see that yes, he is there, and then it executes the next instruction. So remember that if condition only looks into the Boolean value, it doesn't want anything. If I give a plus b, you see what will happen now? I will give a as okay, a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 2. Let me check out now. Let me experiment this one. Clear? Have I saved it? Okay. He is there. Okay, he is there. Now, let me change the value to something like 100. Save it. He is there. Why? Can anybody tell me?
Since first condition is okay, it's printing this next print statement.
So because non-zero values means true.
Internal. What have you said? Can you repeat?
So maybe because non-zero values means true.
Listen here. Actually, I am not comparing with anything here. You will get 101 as the answer. If I only give 1 plus 1 and 1, you will get 2 as the answer. But I'm not giving anything. So if I said this a plus b is greater than 3, then only you execute this one. This is the condition that says. First, it will check the condition and return either true or false. Again, the if condition is only checking for true or false here itself. Now let us see, when I'm saying something like a plus b, I'm not comparing to anything. Now a plus b is looked as 2. I did not compare 2 with anything. So by default, any value that comes, if it is not compared, by default, it will be considered as true. Again, you understand, if there is any condition like this, a plus b is greater than 3. If I am giving like this, a condition will first be checked and a true value will be returned if it is true, or a false will be returned if it is false. For example, we think that it is true and it will execute this one, this statement. But if you are just giving a plus b, if you are just giving a plus b, you are not actually comparing whatever the answer that comes to anything else. So by default, it always imagines that it is always true. I hope you understood. Any doubt from this?
Sir, even if we write a minus b, it will give true only.
Yes, let us see a minus b also. So see here what happens. What is a
Yes, sir,
minus 2? 1 minus 1 is 0. What is 0? What is 0 in computer science?
False.
0 means
Statement.
false.
Yes, let me look into another one. Let me keep it like it is 0. Okay. Now let me check. This is quite interesting. Yeah, it is executing, you see. So what is actually a minus b here? It is minus 1, right? Minus 1 kuda true antundi. It is saying that minus 1 is true, plus 1 is true, plus 100 is true. Every number is true, except you get false. Except you get false. That's a very good question that we can observe. See, a minus b, that is 1 minus 1 is nothing but 0. In computer science, 0 is always considered as false. So that is the reason why this statement is not getting executed. And if you just change one number, if you just change one number 2, and you still get minus 1 here, a minus b, still it is also considered as true. Yes, you see, yes, he is there. It is considered as true. So all negative numbers, all positive numbers, if there is something that is existing, if there is something that is existing, that's called true. That's called true. Recently, I have heard a song in one devotional movie. I have actually seen this scenes for S.V. Rangarao, the Telugu famous actor. I think this is Prahalada movie. I think he acts as Hiranyakashipu. And in that, I have heard a song. In that, clearly it says that all the light is God and all the dark, that means nothing, is actually false. So it is called as Maya. I think the same thing we are applying here. Of course, 0 is a number invented by Indians to represent that Maya or Sunya. That means nothing is there. So if you get an answer 0, everywhere it is considered as false. That's what you need to remember. If you get any other number, so something is existing. So for example, you are saying minus 1, you are saying minus 999. Still it is existing. Even it is a negative number, it still exists. Even if it is a positive number, also it still exists. But if you give 0, 0 indicates nothing is existing. So nothing in the sense always it is considered as false. If something is existing, it is always considered as true. So, for example, I can point out to any person, right? Whether you are a negative person or a positive person, I can say his name is Ramesh because you are there. I can show to that person and say his name is Ramesh, his name is Suresh, right? Whether they are positive or negative, they are existing. But if I show to some air where nothing is there and I say, oh, he is Mr. John. I think in some movies you say the illusionation, right? Nothing will be there and people will illusionate. And what do you think about that people? What is this mental fellow showing something in the air and saying he is Mr. John? How you can introduce Mr. John there, right? So this is what the false statement. So if nothing is there, it's zero. So if something is there, either it can be negative or positive. I hope you understand what we discussed now here.
So just one last question. If we put null in place of 0 in the if statement.
Yes, that also we will test. Null also, null is not considered as a part of this. We have none. Okay, null is in C++ and C. We have none in Python actually. Let me see. None also is not existing. Let me check out. Yes, it's true. None also is not existing. None is equal to 0, right? So none also says it's shunya.
Yes, sir.
0 also shunya. If shunya is there, then definitely we will have a false statement there. So it is considered as false. When it is false, it will not execute the statements of if condition. It will only try to execute else. If else is not there, it will directly go out and execute the next statements.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
So now coming to what are the things that are left here still? Okay. So in membership, we got up to in, and tomorrow I will continue with the other things also. Like I need to explain a little bit about bitwise. So I will now conclude this class for today and continue for tomorrow's one. Right. Thank you very much. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, 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 sir.